recommending, if you have the choice, Mount and James are similarly priced. Obviously Mount's a little bit more expensive because of his rise in price. Traore is a bit of a safer bet in terms of a low cost option, but what are your thoughts early on in this week?
Well, Mount's actually had more points than James over the season, 55 against 43, and that doesn't surprise me because Chelsea are just more creative. I've always said every week I don't see any creativity from United. If I do see something, it's for James, which is why I've kept him from.
Yeah.
But whether he can actually convert that and whether they have the players around him to convert that into hard point and getting assists and making assists, I'm not sure. Mount, I think he's got Abraham in front of him. He's going to do that, and he's actually shown more goal scoring ability as well. So I would keep with Mount over James.
I agree. And in terms of James, I still think he's probably Man United's best player this season, to be honest. Overall, in terms of creativity, getting involved, Rashford's a hit and miss, obviously. But yeah, I completely agree with that. So it's going to be out of James and Traore. So Aguero and Vardy. What's more to say about Vardy? I think he's going to go and score against Arsenal this weekend without
My
a doubt.
two centre forwards here have just been points. We've touched on Aguero, I mentioned earlier. Is he going to play? That's the biggest deal. If he's going to play, he's going to get at least 6 points.
Especially at home.
I know he got 1 point last week because he just came on, and then against Wolves, he only got 2 points. But every other week, he's up there, right?
Yeah, he's still the top quality.
And what's difficult about him, and what will be hard, and what will be tempting, will be to captain him. You need to time that well. Because City just have so many players that create opportunities, and they all score as a team, that it's hard for any individual like one player to stand out. And that's about the timing for the captaincy there. You're always tempted to put him in. You can be absolutely snookered if he doesn't play, comes on for 10 minutes, or if the game's all about De Bruyne or Sterling.
And then we start sending our emails to Pep Guardiola as Jimmy Ferguson
Aguero,
loves to do.
I'm very happy with, and then Vardy, just, man, give me a WKD.
We were definitely, just a bit of background on that, we were doing some WKD torpedoes at the pool in South Africa last week. This also explains why we had
2.8 seconds. Was that the
it
record?
was. I've got a screen grab on my phone. I recorded it. Sean used to be the John McGinn fanboy. Now Sean Mourinho was the fastest time, and it reflects his top of the league, firing on all cylinders.
Wow. You guys are really kind of going retro with the old WKDs there, bringing back the early 2000s.
It wasn't even WKD.
It was
Red Square.
Red
It
Square.
really was
Even
retro.
more retro.
Wow.
So that's enough about my team. Neil van Dijk, we didn't hear from you last week, so it'd be very
right.
interesting to get your thoughts. You've got a solid 61 points,
Yeah.
above the average of 53. You've really started to climb the league.
I mean, first of all, like I said, I was missing you guys. The game week started out, it was looking pretty dismal. Certainly kind of came back on track. I had Ryan in goal, Brighton. He kind of got a good result against Norwich. I think Norwich definitely not kind of looking the team that they were at the start of the season, and starting to kind of show that gulf in terms of kind
He's
of
done well for
championship.
you in goal.
Yes, to be honest, it's been solid. I've not changed my goalkeepers.
Even when he's conceded, he's been getting points for saves, which is what we see with these goalkeepers.
Which we've discussed as well when it comes to goalkeepers. That depending on the team, depending on the chances against them, sometimes that plays in the goalkeeper's favour.
Even the 9-0 Leicester gun was still with a 0 points for that game. Should have been minus because he's got so many points per save. So there we go.
Exactly. The one player that I've stuck with, I'll rave about, to be honest, is Soyuncu. I've had him in for a couple of
He was in the dream team this week, right?
14 points.
14 points, and I think he's really shored up my points. Naturally, he got a goal. Leicester kept a clean sheet as well. Got bonus points, so 14 points. To be
3
honest.
bonus points, and that's 14 points with getting a yellow card as well.
Exactly. So he's done well for me.
Fantastic.
I actually transferred out Otamendi. I thought, you know what, Otamendi's probably not going to play. He's not played the past couple of weeks. I think he played maybe midweek. I actually transferred in Mendy because I thought someone like Mendy on the left can really exploit, as Kyle Walker did, to be honest, on the right, can really exploit the Southampton defence. Going on how Leicester performed against Southampton, I thought Man City, being at home, would considerably be comfortable. Unfortunately, he didn't even play, but I guess quite fortunately, Rico, Bournemouth, kind of got subbed in. They kept a clean sheet against Manchester United.
Was that the result surprising? Bournemouth keeping a clean sheet and winning against
clean
United?
sheet.
Is it surprising at this stage in the season?
I thought it was only because of the upturn in form of United. I think they won like 4 games on the bounce in all competitions.
Yeah.
So I genuinely thought maybe
Since the Liverpool game, wasn't
yeah, since the Liverpool game, that they've started to play well. They've gathered consistency. I think kind of Martial's been good for Rashford. Although I think looking at the kind of the game week, he's he was lazy, to be honest. Very much out of sort. I think that's all contributed to Manchester United just having another awful week, and unfortunately the wheels are starting to come off again for Ollie.
I'd like to just mention Mendy again there, because you raised a good point, because I've danced with this little battle with Mendy all season. Comparing him to last season, he involved a lot of assists. He got a high amount of points before he got injured, and he was on par to be the top scoring defender in FPL last season. So in the back of my mind that was always there, so I got him in at certain times. But Pep is not sticking with a left back at the moment. He's changing a lot. Kyle Walker was on the score sheet and he got in the dream team this weekend as well. And that doesn't happen much with Kyle Walker, but maybe he's the more definite defender in terms of wing backs for Man City, if you are looking to get into that Man City defence with any clean sheets they might get. But you're right, Soyuncu, what a great option you did there. His first goal for Leicester as well, 14 points. Superb.
Yeah, it's been really interesting, to be honest. I think kind of Brendan Rodgers is naturally learned a lot from his time at Liverpool and at Celtic, and has actually really improved and capitalised on the strength of the defenders at Leicester City, and they're doing really well. If you look at kind of goals conceded, whether it's at home or away, they're really doing well, and hence why they deserve their top 4 position.
To take you on to the rest of your team,
midfield,
so you went brave, 2 City players in midfield. What do you think of them?
Correct. I mean, I think maybe like a lot of FPL managers, that they went off the back of Leicester City result against Southampton, thought that, you know what, Man City at home,
goals, right?
Man City at home need to naturally catch Liverpool. Very much going to be all out attack. Too much for Southampton.
It doesn't happen though. Teams learn, right? They learn quickly.
Exactly, and
not just they learned. Southampton showed a lot of heart and spirit against Man City. They looked very together, very unified, and when you've lost 9-0, it would be so easy just to collapse within the club itself, right? But they came out and they showed a lot of heart, a lot of spirit,
and that's it. And I think kind of myself and probably a lot of FPL managers mistook that. And you're right. Teams come back and they show a little bit of grit and response, and Southampton did that. But stupidly, I captained Sterling. Had
so
De Bruyne,
did I, mate. So did I.
I had De Bruyne in my midfield as well. Got him back in after his injury.
You mounted Mount.
I mounted Mount, but I think kind of the best performing midfielder was Jorginho.
Yeah,
and that's because he got an assist for Chelsea. But I think all in all, the midfield where I thought I would pick up points that game week performed quite poorly.
Trend for this week.
So, Pellegrini, you also captain Sterling. I know you're a big supporter of Sterling over the last couple of weeks. For me, I don't know what I see. I don't see as many points being picked up. I'm a big fan of De Bruyne. If I was to put any City player midfielder in my team, it would be him. Do you still think Sterling's got more to offer?
I do. I do think he's going to be very explosive in certain game weeks. I completely agree. He's not recording the FPL points. Similar situation at Salah. Obviously, Salah's got a bit of an injury of late, which might be impacting his result. But Sterling, I think, look, he's still the guy who's going to score a lot of goals for Man City once they get firing again. If they do a 5-6-0 game, which they will have a few through the season, Sterling's going to be involved. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
The other person I would mention, actually, that's not in my team, Bernardo Silva, looked back to his best form that we saw last season. He's 7.9 million.
How many points this year?
46 points.
46.
And Sterling has had 65. So,
and De Bruyne has 74.
De Bruyne is 74. But Bernardo Silva, I think, it looks back to his best. I think he could be on the verge of getting into that form. He seems to be starting a lot of Man City's games. Him and Sterling up front, alongside Aguero, could be absolutely monumental to your team. It's going to be a debate, right? Because he's so expensive, Sterling, so you could save quite a bit of money still keeping that Man City attack, but then maybe going on to the more informed players.
Yeah, definitely. To top it off kind of with my players up front, Tammy Abraham, great. He's been banging at the door and he's been unlucky, I think, kind of the past couple of game weeks. Game week before he got 5 points, but, you know, albeit I think kind of he's been unfortunate with chances. He's created a lot of chances. Definitely capitalised on the upturn of former Hudson-Odoi as well. But he got an assist, he got a goal this game week, he got 12 points, so he did really well for me. Naturally would have been a better captain choice. Coming to Vardy, look, I don't need to mention him.
Solid.
I've mentioned him too many times, albeit I didn't captain him when he got a hat-trick. So sorry, Jamie Vardy, I wasn't at that particular party. But, you know, he came back.
You weren't invited, mate.
Jamie Vardy's having a party.
Never invites me, scumbag. And good goal very poacher's goal and pretty much finished the game off for.
He's on fire
for Leicester. Yeah, definitely. It'll be interesting to kind of see. Like I said before in previous game weeks, he historically has not scored against, let's say, your conventional big six
the bigger
teams.
teams,
So
right?
let's see if he kind of does the business.
Are Arsenal a bigger team? Ooh, controversial.
Well,
but
considering they got rid of their captain now, and I don't know, they're captainless or they what? Who is it? Is Ian Wright back? Is Ray Parlour back?
To counter that, he also always scores at home. So the fact they're playing at home,
I think the Arsenal defence is definitely not up there. So I think all the more reason to A, have him in your team, and B, to be a sensible captain.
80
captain
points.
choice as well.
80 points
Fantastic,
in 11
right?
game weeks is superb.
and most of them's in the last 6 or so.
Just aside from FPL, just for a second, don't forget this guy played non-league just a few seasons ago.
Yeah.
What a fantastic
And
career
he found the
he's had.
WKD.
And he found the WKD. He loves the WKD. He's retired from England international football. He should come back to the England team. Jamie Vardy, if you're listening, tell Rebecca Vardy to chill out and just get back
Just
in.
Van Dijk there, last player in your team that we didn't touch on so much. Do you think he's past it? Callum Wilson?
Yeah, so I think this is one of the things that I thought about raising in today's podcast is Callum Wilson, right? So I think he averaged, to be honest, before the past couple of game weeks, about 5 points per game week. And
Yeah, it's very consistent.
And he's been a bit of a duffer, to be honest. And Joshua King got a great goal. Absolutely made Aaron Wan-Bissaka look like a little schoolboy. Flicked it over his head and great finish. I guess if you want to keep with the Bournemouth striker option, the
Why
question...
would you? What are they going to create? How many goals have they scored this season? 1 this week, 0 the week before, 0 the week before that, 0 the week before that.
I think
Since game week 7, not done
why
much.
is any Bournemouth striker up?
If I had to have the one person that I was going to kind of transfer out this game week, I'd start to look at Callum Wilson, to be honest. I think kind of...
7.9 million is a decent chunk of cash.
Exactly, it is. Even though kind of, let's say, Joshua King, if you wanted to go with that option, I'm not sure why you would, is 6.3 million. But I think kind of, like you said, John Mourinho, or Sean Mourinho, there's better choices out there. So I think, definitely. I think, Callum Wilson is one for the cull this game week and return
I wouldn't
poor.
be surprised if you do that. Yeah,
return poor, just a single point, to be honest. Unfortunately, not that rich vein of form as he had pretty much kind of back, game week 7 after that, he's been pretty awful.
So Pellegrini, your
Yes.
team. We've covered a lot of the teams and players in your team.
Yes, yeah.
So we won't go through it all, but there's 2 players here that I'm interested in 2 games
Yes.
we haven't touched on so much. The first one is Digne.
Digne. Okay, so unfortunately I stuck with Digne over Lundstrom. Of course, Lundstrom...
You had Lundstrom on your bench. Your
was the
first
first-
choice sub.
Yeah, so-
21 points, and he did not get on the pitch.
I was debating between those two because don't forget Lundstrom was at home, right? So was Digne. But the thing with Digne, he's been threatening every single game. He had an own goal last week, and I thought that was quite unlucky. And he also got
Well,
an
he
assist.
went from losing his goal
Hero to zero.
Yeah.
Hero to zero, right?
We've been through
So,
it.
but I thought he was on the cusp. Because, again, we talk about form, we look at how they're playing in the last few game weeks, how they're doing, and I thought he was about to do so. He did get an assist in the end, and I think Digne is still worth a shout, but it's justifying his price tag. It's 5.9 million. He's
It's
reduced.
expensive for a
pretty-
defender.
For defenders, and don't forget our defenders these
Lundstrom,
days.
4.8.
Exactly. Our
And
defend-
Everton have not been on form this
They're
season.
not scoring a bag of goals. They're not quite doing it. They're struggling at the lower end of the table. I stupidly stuck with Digne. I should have gone with Lundstrom against Norwich at home.
You'd be keeping him in this week. They're playing Southampton.
I am going to be keeping him in this week. I've maybe 2 more game week, just because I'm looking at other areas to improve and I'm trying to free up some space.
The second player that I wanted to bring, Haller the Hammer.
Haller the Hammer. Okay, got 5
your
points.
team.
He's out, mate. He's out.
He's out?
And
He's
not,
done?
not because Haller. I honestly don't think it's his fault. He's not getting the
What happened
service.
to West Ham this week?
West Ham fell apart, mate. They were terrible in the first half. They should have been 5-0 down in the first half. Honestly, I'm not even exaggerating. I know all the West Ham fans who might be listening to this podcast will completely agree. Cresswell had a nightmare. Terrible defending, wide open, no marking. Really raises questions about our backup goalkeeper. Yes, he made a couple of good saves, but he was off his line 10 yards. Why is Zabaleta starting ahead of Fredericks? Have no idea. Sant Maximan for Newcastle, probably the fastest player in the whole Premier League, just outrun him the whole game. Overall, I think Haller has to come out because West Ham are just in a very downturn of
And
form.
unfortunately, as much as I like to see them doing well, because I kind of like the football they play, and I kind of like you as well.
Thanks.
I kind of agree with you, and my 2 subs the last 2 weeks, I've taken out Diop and I've taken out Lanzini.
There you go.
They didn't return much for me this season, and I'm glad they're out of my team.
It was good timing. That shows you the good choices that you make over the last few game weeks, and it represents where you are on the table, and well deserved. I've got to say, Sean Mourinho. The new title is well deserved too, I have to say. I want to see what Jimmy Ferguson's got to say about that. That'll be for the next game week.
So just to round off this first part of the show, I want to bring in who is the Klopp of the week and who is the flop of the week. And I actually think that I'm going to give Klopp of the week to
yourself.